Okay. Let's run a test. 111. I'm gonna try this again. Okay. I think we're ready to go. Let's do the thing. Here we go. On we go. I don't think we're gonna have much of a live stream tonight. We're gonna just see. I guess we'll just be doing just the podcast this time. Anyway, let's start. Here we go. Yeesh. Man, what a disaster. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sandwich Corner, a subset of a subsidiary, a companion stream to the Sandwich Show. Nice to have y'all here. My name is Dave Medina. You know me as Dave. He's eating a sandwich on various platforms, and this is our special little between Twitch shows outlet, where we get to chat about all sorts of things under the sun. Tonight, we're going to be talking about sports, and we had just an amazing college football playoff over the holiday, and the NFL was just as chaotic over the weekend. So really, a lot to discuss tonight. We're going to talk about the potential playoff scenarios in the NFL as well, along with a preview of the college football championship, the CFP title game between the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies. How about that? A traditional Big Ten Pac-12 matchup from the Rose Bowl, but it's going to be deciding the title game in Houston. And what's more, no SEC team, which is got to be the first time we've had no SEC team in a championship game, maybe since this format started. And it's funny that this is going to happen right as the format will end and expand to 12 teams as we get going. So good to have you all here. I don't think the live stream is going to look good at all tonight. So it's going out, but it's not going to be much of a stream. So what I'm doing is I'm recording. If you're watching this on YouTube now, like what you probably are seeing is a recording of the podcast that we're going to go upload to YouTube after the show's done. Because it's not streaming at all. It's just giving me nothing. I think it's a specific problem with the YouTube streaming system, so I'm not going to worry about it. My internet, I've checked all the internet stuff. Internet's fine. Like, it's nothing wrong with the internet. The internet's good. So let's welcome our friend to the program. It's good to have John back. Welcome in, John. How's it going tonight?
Hey Dave, Happy New Year. Hope everything is going well. Hope you had a good holiday. Hope everyone out there had a good holiday season. And yeah, here to talk about some bowl games, some NFL, whatever you'd like. So pretty good time of the year for sports.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you too. I mean, pretty good time for the Packers though. What a great win that was.
Oh yeah, that was a good way to ring in the new year. Like I was very, very scared that their defensive ineptitude would continue and like whatever quarterback the Vikings put out there would just completely just shred their defense had been. I mean, they made Tommy DeVito the player of the week, and now like he's eyed out. He's never going to play in the NFL again. I bet he's just been awful since.
Yeah.
But Jaron Hall was just horrible for the Vikings. I mean, I'll give Green Bay credit; they got some good pressure on him, and that kind of set the tone for the game. Jordan Love played great. And yeah, they're looking pretty good. They're just very inconsistent, so I'm worried about that kind of factor heading to this next game against the Bears, which is now for a playoff spot. Incredibly, they're in the exact same position as they were last year. They were home against the Lions, and they choked and they didn't make it. And now here they are a year later, home against a division opponent. Win gets them in the playoffs. So we'll see if they can take advantage. It would be nice for a change to make the playoffs with literally zero expectations, as opposed to those few years under Rodgers where they were the one seed every time and then just flamed out. So it'd be a different experience. But I'm hoping they can get the win, and it's all house money at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? The Packers facing the Bears. I mean, you can't ask for a better spot. Like, the Bears coming off a win too. Like, that's a great spot for the Packers.
Yeah, the Bears have been playing well. Two home wins in a row. So yeah, we're catching them off a good spot. I saw Justin Fields is talking trash today, so I don't know how that's going to work out. I will say their defense has been much improved lately. That trade with the Redskins, the Commanders, to get Montez Sweat really improved their defense. So we'll see. It'll be a competitive game. The spread's only like 3.5, I think. So
Yep.
um, it's gonna be a tight game, and I'm hoping the Packers can come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be one of a lot of really great games. I mean, on the NFL schedule coming up, and actually, we could just start that. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
because there are so many scenarios we have yet to decide. Most of them are in the NFC, but you got a few in the AFC too. And basically, as we bring up our the handy dandy playoff machine, I'm so excited to do this. This is the first time I've ever actually done this on screen, but yeah, there it is. Everybody knows it.
There we go.
It hasn't changed in 15 years. Like I remember, I might have even been in college when I first used it. So it may have been around even longer than that. So
Oh yeah, no, it has not changed. Like I remember using it like in high school, trying to figure out different permutations and whatnot. Yeah, it has not changed. So
yeah, but it is really rather phenomenal to see these matchups here. Now you can see that. I don't know if I used win percentage as the qualifier, but that's just to make it easier to change things around. The first game out of there are two games on Saturday. They're going to be your usual Sunday games, and then they're divided into two, your early slate and your late slate, and then the low hanging fruit selection for Sunday Night Football, of course, after the Dolphins and Bills after the Bills did their thing, the Dolphins lost to Baltimore embarrassingly. I'm still annoyed, but. There you go. You got the Dolphins with a chance to win their division against the Bills. Bills really on a roll now. I mean, they look really great.
yeah, it's gonna be an interesting schedule.
Yeah.
The crazy part of that Bills game is depending on the other results, you could have a scenario where they're playing to either win the division and like get the 2 seed, or they're completely out of the playoffs altogether if they
Mm-hmm.
lose, which is incredible. So I know the winner of the Texans and Colts game is in for sure. And then I believe if Pittsburgh wins and if Jacksonville wins, that means Buffalo is playing like for their lives, basically.
Yeah. Basically a
I
playoff
think
game.
that's the scenario.
Yeah. Let's put now. Who would you take in the Houston Colts game? This is an interesting question. Like
That's like a complete coin flip game. I
yeah.
mean, I would lean Houston just because they have a better quarterback, obviously Stroud over Minshew, but the Colts have been just against all odds winning these games at home, especially. They just seem to find a way to pull it out. I feel like a lot of quote sharp money is going to be on Houston, but I don't
Right.
know if that's where you want to go with this one. I don't know. I'd like to see Houston more so in the playoffs just to watch CJ Stroud like another game. But I would not be surprised at all if Houston won that. So whatever you want to pick, Dave, you can go
Well,
with it.
we can look at the scenarios in either situation. You can see if you do
Mm-hmm.
pick Houston, they get the 6 seed. The Steelers get
Yep.
the 7 seed, which is because, and this is
Well,
assuming if they win. This
right,
game.
you haven't selected the other games yet too, so that'll change everything. I believe.
Correct. Yeah, like to give you an example, like I think well Cleveland's in. I think they clinched their playoff
Yeah,
spot.
that game means nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Flacco's not playing. No one's playing. That game means nothing.
Yeah.
Cleveland's locked in to that.
Yeah.
Was this the 6 seed, 5 seed? I think.
We have the 5 seed
Five.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like they got the yeah, exactly. And because the Chiefs were able to somehow gut it out with like 6 field goals in the second half, they that takes Cincinnati out of the mix too. So a lot of good things were breaking in for certain teams. The Rams had another nice win against the Giants. And they got a great break when the Steelers went out and beat Seattle on the road. So
Yeah, that helped the Packers too. That's what made it like winning in for Green Bay once
Yeah.
Seattle lost. So yeah, that was a big loss for a lot of teams with
Yeah.
with the Seahawks going down.
I want to talk about big losses like Detroit's loss. First of all, it's been talked about a lot. What an atrocious mismanagement by the officials. Like I've been waiting all day to talk about this. Like that's a disaster. You can't miss something like that. The guy
Right.
literally went up to report to the game. Like ridiculous.
it's another like literally the hundreds of millions of dollars on the line between gambling and everything else, and like you have these incompetent assholes like Brad Allen officiating the game. Like,
Oh,
what are we doing? Like, and can see Campbell screaming on the sidelines, like, "I told you, I told you, I told you!" Like, I don't blame him for being pissed off. They not to say like it. I forget how much time was left when they got the 2 point conversion. Like, was it? It was like under a minute.
yeah,
Was
it was like under a minute. I can look it up.
okay. I mean, so was there still time for Dallas to like get a field goal in that situation? Honestly, I don't remember the exact
Let's
time.
go look. I can look at. Hold on a sec. I can figure this
Yeah,
out.
look at like the box score.
Yep.
I mean, clearly, it decided like that's it's kind of trying to decide between like, yeah, it definitely decided the game versus like, okay, it was a bad call, but Dallas still would have had some time left.
I had the feel that it had decided the game because
Yeah.
it was it was a tough spot. Like,
Oh no, it and it was so late too. Like they were
yeah,
all celebrating, and then like, oh, here's the flag because he realized once he announced 70 as eligible as the eligible receiver, like they had to put the flag down, even though it was completely wrong. But he said out loud they had to throw the flag. Just a complete just disgrace. And like I
unbelievable.
think they're still getting a playoff game that crew. Like
Yeah.
I mean, can't wait for that disaster again.
Better hope the Packers don't get that game. That's gonna be rough.
Oh God, I do not want Brad Allen. And then there's another guy that's just awful.
Yeah.
Hockley's son is bad. He
Yeah.
throws a flag like every play. And then I think it's Sean Smith too. He's those three. Like I do
Uh,
not like those
okay.
at
So
all.
I have the information. So the touchdown was with a minute 18 to go in the game. So that
Okay, so there would
was.
have been time.
Mhm.
There would have been some time for Dallas,
But
but
still,
still, no, doesn't excuse what happened. I mean, just
no.
one of
No.
your all time buffoon moments by the officials.
That's really saying something in a league that has had the fail
Right.
Mary and oh my gosh. And what was the other one that happened more recently that was really just a disaster? But oh, the
Oh,
what is
and
the
there's so
catch?
many. You can count them on your. It's just go right down the list
It's hopeless.
of bad calls.
You just can't have that. It's too late in the season. These games mean too much. You're like,
Yeah,
gosh, do better.
exactly. Yeah, that just knocked Detroit probably out of the 2 seed.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that's a good role for Detroit to be a little bit of an underdog. Although I'm looking at this playoff machine, it says that if things roll the way they roll, you're going to be looking at the Packers against the. Ooh, that's a tough spot. But remember, the Packers actually stopped them on Thanksgiving Day.
They
So
did, but if I had to choose any of those potential opponents for the first round, obviously I would like to play the Bucks again, but that the Packers can't get to the 5 seed. Um, I want to play the Eagles because they just look miserable at the
yeah,
moment.
mm,
But I don't think there's any way it can be like the 6-3 matchup. So I think it's going to be either Detroit or Dallas, and I'd probably rather play Dallas. I hate to say it, um, just because of like the McCarthy angle, like
yeah,
going up against
yeah.
his former team, and I don't know. I just think the Packers have always performed well in Dallas. I don't think I'd want to play the Lions a third time.
It's the meme about playing a team the third time tends to work out. Yeah, that's very dicey. You're right. Like we've seen it many times.
Yeah.
Speaking of Philadelphia, I mean, I only want to bring this up because of just how fantastic it was, and I don't mean like it was great. I mean to say it was just unbelievable this could happen, that they would lose outright to Arizona, especially after having a lead like that. I think they had like a what? How much were they up? Like 10?
It was like 21-6 at halftime, I
Yeah,
believe.
huge lead. It's like
Yeah, I mean, I was just nervous. I mean, I took the Cardinals plus 11 and a half. I was just worried they wouldn't cover, and then they ended up coming back to win the game. I mean, that was just um, crazy. I mean, the Eagles' defense has been really bad, honestly, for a while, and they've been kind of getting away with it. And now their offense is struggling. It's crazy. Like the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year are complete shells of themselves right now. Chiefs and the Eagles.
I know. I will tell you what though. I mean, I've been saying it to people, and I'm sure a lot of other people were kind of on the same boat, especially like some amongst our friends. Like we were kind of expecting the Eagles to regress somewhat, but it still was a kind of a big meltdown, like even bigger than I anticipated. Like they won one game since they went 10-1. One, that's it. Like
Yeah.
that's rough.
yeah, they had that gauntlet of a schedule. I think it was it was like Buffalo, that which they somehow won, and then like Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously the Giants on Christmas wasn't, you know, I mean, once Tyrod Taylor got in there, I mean, he made the game pretty close. So that brings us to this week. Like, I would not be surprised at all if the Giants won on Sunday against the Eagles. Um,
Let's see what
you know,
happens if they do win. Like, would anything happen in the playoff scenario? No, it's
no,
about the same.
I think Dallas just has to win to get the division, and they're not losing to Washington.
Right.
I don't see it
Nah.
anyway.
Agree. Agree.
I'd be very, very surprised if that happens.
Yeah. It is interesting that a lot of the divisional matchups are meaningless. Chargers Chiefs is essentially a nothing game now.
Yeah, that's a nothing game.
Yeah. So who cares? Same thing with the Rams. Pretty much same thing with the Rams and the Niners. It's not like the Rams could really move up that much. Like,
Yeah, no, the Niners can't do anything. Obviously, they're locked into number one. Now the Rams are
oh,
playing for either number 6 or number
you're
7
right.
because the Packers beat the Rams, so they have the tiebreaker on them. So if they lost and the Packers won, the Packers would move up a spot. So it depends on what they want to do. If the Rams really value the number 6 or 7 seed, they'll try to win the game. Otherwise, they'll drop a spot.
I think it's really interesting that a lot of these teams have already had games against each other. Rams played Detroit
Yeah.
too earlier in the season. Detroit did win. It was close, but the Lions won on the road. So, but John, I think you would agree that if these teams were to meet again, I think the Rams would actually have a real chance here. They're playing much better than they did back then. Or was that the Chargers?
Against the lot.
That might have been
No,
the
I think
Chargers.
they played the Chargers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
don't
the
think they
Chargers.
played the Rams.
Yeah, I think it's the Chargers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I remember that was a crazy game. It was like really high scoring. I think the Lions won by like a field goal, if I recall.
Yep.
Um, that would be a shootout. That'd be a pretty. And imagine the storylines in that game, like Stafford facing his both quarterbacks facing their former teams that they got traded to. Like
pretty remarkable.
that's what a yeah, that'd be a crazy game. I think there'd be a lot of points in that game. My initial bet would be over for that game.
It's a good call.
But yeah, that would be an interesting matchup. I mean, I guess the Lions would be favored probably like 4 or 5 points. I mean, the Rams would definitely be enticing. I don't know if they would win it, but like that would be a really close game. That'd be a great playoff game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's what makes this. It's almost like you almost don't want the Packers to move up because look at the matchup you get. We get Dallas, and I'm sure you would be licking your chops at that. You know.
I don't know about licking my chops, but like I said, I think I'd rather play Dallas.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Than Detroit. I mean, they just may end up getting exposed like their defense, but like whatever. Like I really just take the shot at Dallas and see what happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's get back to the playoff machine. So, really, the biggest things are you mentioned the AFCs, both South divisions.
Yeah. Well, so the winner of Houston and Indy get into the playoffs, and the loser is eliminated. But the winner also still has the chance at the division, because if Jacksonville loses, then the other team will be in. Yes.
Yeah.
See, it just flipped, as like you can see on your screen.
Wow.
But then if Jacksonville wins, obviously the Houston Indy winner just gets a wild card.
Right.
Now, do we trust Jacksonville to win on the road in Tennessee? I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, the Jags have been playing so bad. I know they just beat Carolina, but let's face it, like Carolina is just really not an NFL caliber team at this point. I mean, especially if Lawrence is like wounded too. Like Vrabel will put like everything into like trying to win this game for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is a tough one. If I had to pick, I would say the Jags would just like squeak it out and they'll win the division. But I don't feel confident at all in saying that they like win by margin or cover a spread. No way.
That's an impossible game to pick. I don't even know what the spread is, but you can give me a number. I would have no tough time with it.
I think it's Jacksonville. I think I saw -5.5. I need to double check on that.
Maybe I can pull that up too. But regardless, it just doesn't seem like a game that I would feel confident in taking either side. If it was 10, I wouldn't feel that confident.
Oh gosh, 10? Like give me Tennessee all day.
You would take Tennessee with 10?
Minus,
interesting.
-5.5 for Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's actually right. That makes sense. Yeah. It's just that Tennessee does so many stupid things in the well, but that's
I
also
know.
why. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, but it'll be
Yeah, they
close.
looked really bad last week too, but like
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they played better at home. Like I think it would be a fairly close game.
yeah, definitely.
But for our predictions, I think you got to go with Jacksonville
Yeah,
probably winning that.
I think it won't be pretty, but I think they'll win.
Right. And same thing with your Steelers too. Like it won't be pretty against the Ravens, but they probably will win that with the Ravens like basically their backups in. I know it's a big rivalry, but the Ravens can't be that stupid to try to like play all their starters in this kind of game.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. It would seem logical that they would only play him for part of the game, like maybe some
Right.
of, not the whole
Yeah,
game.
Lamar's not even playing. I saw
Okay,
Tyler Huntley starting.
they can win that game with Tyler Huntley, for what
Yes,
it's worth.
right. But the key is like is all the other offensive starters playing and
Right, right.
defensive starters.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. And as you said, it makes all the sense in the world to rest your starters in that spot. You've clinched everything. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason to play anybody.
Yep.
Um, all right, let's see. So then we look at the South, the NFC South. And it's pretty much
Oh,
the last.
jeez.
I mean, it's kind of a sheer playoff battle, which because like
Basically,
right,
yes. It's like if the Bucks beat Carolina, they get it, and then if they lose, the winner of the Saints and Falcons make it. I believe.
let's go see who we would take in this. And by the way, trying to pick between these two teams, oof.
Ugh.
The Falcons,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Probably in
I
the
don't
ones
know.
that are at
The
home.
Saints just look good, but they always have the Bucks number. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just why do one of those teams have to be in the playoffs? Like that's my thing. But whatever.
Fair question. Fair point.
They
Like,
win it. They win a division. I don't
yeah.
know. Go with the Saints because they're at home, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you chose the Bucks. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Carolina. Like that's the kind of shit that happens with this division in like the last
You're
week of the
right.
year. So if you change, yeah, choose Carolina. What happens? Yeah, the Saints
Wow.
go in.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There you go. Now that's a scenario where I might actually take the Carolina Panthers to cover at home.
Yeah, yeah.
Could happen.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Picking these games with a spread is going to be hard. Picking these games straight up would be even harder, to be honest with you, because how would you know who's going to win the Buffalo Miami game? Like I don't know. Like I think Buffalo. Like
Oof, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, everything points to Buffalo, but like they've had some moments where they're just like that Chargers game was they're skating by in that spot. If they feel like they did it at the Chargers, they're going to lose to the Dolphins.
Yep.
The Dolphins have a lot of injury issues, but they are at home. Like I saw they're getting 3 at home. Like I'd probably be over on Miami with that spread. Like getting a field goal at home.
I think so. Because here's the basic thing about Tyreek Hill's house went on fire too, so I don't know if that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I don't know what that effect of that be, but that sucks.
Right.
Yeah, but the coaching matchup is clearly in Miami's favor if it's close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So.
And then Buffalo's always prone to making like boneheaded turnovers or
Yep.
Penalties. Like Allen, like for as good as he is, like he turns the ball over a lot.
Yep.
In Miami, off an embarrassing loss, like that's a really tough game. But I would lean with the home dog with the points, not necessarily that they're going to win.
And maybe
Because obviously Buffalo's going to be the more desperate team regardless, because Miami's already in the playoffs.
right. Very, very, very much so. Very much so. It is always interesting to see if this is in fact a division battle. Like you win the division, so you can go from second to sixth in a blink like this. And yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and in your scenario there, Buffalo's out.
Wow.
Like I said, we have the right permutations to get them out of there.
Ooh. Is there? I mean, what other things could happen to make Buffalo win despite the Steelers winning?
Yeah. So if you choose, I think if you choose Tennessee.
Okay.
I think choose Tennessee. I think Buffalo comes back.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, keep an eyeball on that game then. Yeah.
It'd be a rematch between. It'd be a rematch. Buffalo, Miami again.
Oh, we've seen this before. Eagles, Cowboys. That'd be interesting.
Yep.
I'm all about.
And I also think if Baltimore wins too, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think
you have
Buffalo will be back in. So choose Jacksonville again. So we'll get Buffalo out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then choose Baltimore. And I think Buffalo come back in.
Oh,
Yep,
there
there
you
we
go.
go.
Wow, good call. Wow, that's a good read on your end. Yeah, this is great. I know the NFL would not like that, but it would be interesting to see. You just saw them the week before. Like, it would be interesting how they would adjust the next week. And I mean, great matchup either
Yeah,
way.
those are some good wild card round matchups right there.
Yeah.
I think we have six like really good games. Well, Eagles and Saints I could do without, but the rest of them are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the Jags weren't so terrible right now, like even with and here's the thing, they were playing terribly even when Lawrence was there. So
Right.
with
Oh
him
yeah.
out, it
He's
seemed
clearly not 100%
yeah.
either. Like obviously he missed the game, but like he's been injured for quite a while. I bet in that game right there we have
Hmm.
Cleveland at Jacksonville.
Yep.
That's probably like the most likely matchup. I bet the Browns would be favored in that game.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think they would be favored too. Their defense has been regarded as very good, although usually it's good when it's at home, not so much on the road. But still, this
Yeah,
is
true.
it's a good setup. I think Flacco's gonna play, which I hate, but the rest of the team's still pretty good. So, and we'll have to
Oh yeah,
see.
they got to keep Flacco. Like, imagine the odds you could have gotten on him being comeback player of the year, like when they first signed him, like what a month and a half ago. It was probably like 1,000 to 1 or something, and
It's
like he's
yeah,
probably going to win it. It's unbelievable.
it is. It is. Like I'm honestly very surprised. I thought he was
Yeah,
completely washed up.
and just think if the Jets had kept him as their backup, they're probably in the playoffs right now.
Interesting.
Because once Rodgers gets hurt and you go to Flacco instead of Zach Wilson, and the rest of the losers they put in there.
Absolutely. It's great. Like this is good. Now Houston, Kansas City, very different look this year. If that is the matchup,
Yes.
very different look. Like,
Yeah, Houston would definitely have a chance in that game,
mhm,
without a
absolutely.
doubt.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the Chiefs were, if they had lost that Cincinnati game, I mean, the Raiders would still be alive to win the division. I think it's crazy.
it really is. And
They
think
just,
of
yeah, the Chiefs just have not had a good year whatsoever. But all it takes is you just got to get in the dance, and you got Patrick Mahomes, and see what happens.
well, the one thing with the Chiefs though that has been positive all year, in a year that has generally been really bad for them, that defense is as good as I've ever seen. Like,
Yes.
yeah, great defense they have. But
Yeah, no, it is a very good defense. Like probably one of the better ones under Andy Reid's tenure.
yep,
The only team to score more than like 24 on them was the Packers. Like
yep,
they looked really great that night. Their offense. So just another I can't believe the job that they've done with like Love compared to like his first couple games to now. Like the results are just tremendous what they've gotten out of the offense with all their injuries and stuff too. But we already talked about them.
yep.
You didn't pick the Jets and Patriots game, did you? I mean, what a what a
Let's
match!
go back.
What a matchup!
Now, are there actually playoff implications for this? Like, I can't.
No,
No,
God,
right? I
no.
guess what this game should be on peak. No, I don't. I think that's being.
That game should be on the CW. Like, let's get it
it
off everything. Like,
should
remember
be
that?
on.
I don't know if you saw the
Yeah,
Arizona Bowl with that was on the CW
yeah. No.
Barstool Sports. That's what. Yeah, me too. That's what we need for this game. We need the Barstool Sports crew on the CW for Jets and Patriots. Like, I cannot think of a worse game than this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe Pluto TV would deserve
Yeah,
this
there
game.
you go.
That's
All food on TV.
that's probably it, though. Yeah, a rough spot. But it is a bummer that the Raiders Broncos game doesn't mean anything because that for both teams, like the Broncos actually were playoff eligible about a week ago, and they've
Right.
kind of come apart too. That's just a bummer. Like, would have been great to see some juice
Well,
there.
you know what? They would have still been alive if not for the Christmas Eve game where they lost to the Patriots.
That's crazy. And they were up by
Yeah.
I think they were up
Oh, I know.
early.
That just and
Wow.
that I think ended the Russell Wilson era
Mm.
in Denver. Just Sean Payton's cleaning house. I mean, Wilson. I thought he was better this year than he was last year, but I mean, I guess when you're paying him all that money, you're not really looking for just an average quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing, the funny thing with quarterback decisions, I'm kind of wondering going back to the Vikings for a second. Was that a good move? Was that a good move? Because like it just seemed like
No,
I didn't think it was a good move at all. I think you can't rush in a rookie like that with a game that of that importance. I think you take your
right. Like
chances with
honestly, I
Mullins.
think if Mullins had started the game, I think it would have gone much differently.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that they would have won, but Green Bay's defense was ripe for the picking. And Hall, like he couldn't even complete a pass. Mullins for he's kind of like he was kind of like Brett Favre. He comes from Southern Miss. He throws a lot of turnovers. Like he throws a lot of crazy throws too. But he gives you the bad plays. But the game might have gone a lot differently if he had started. So I did. That was when I heard that the Vikings were doing that. I was for as much as I shit on Joe Barry and their defense. I was glad when I heard that news, much more so than if Mullins had been starting.
yeah, yeah. I feel bad for him though, because like I
Yeah,
feel like he could be a good quarterback over time, but it just not a good spot.
no, it was a tough way to get your first start.
Yep. Well, so we have this set up, and it will be a fun weekend. It maybe not as much juice as there could have been, but still a lot of scenarios that you can still decide. And we know, just like with bowls, like it does not go according to plan most of the time.
No,
Yeah.
does not.
Well, so that's the NFL for you. Let's segue over to college. Boy, this has been one of the best bowl seasons I've ever seen. I think that's just what I'll say off the top. Like everything from like the beginning, that first weekend around the 17th, leading up to the playoff we just had. I think this is the first time I remember the both playoff games being that close. And it was a really great playoff. Like I got to give a lot of credit to all four teams for playing well. Well, to an extent. Here's the thing: I feel like a fool right now because I took Bama in that game. I took the thing about it is I thought Bama was going to be like the underdog and like the rare moment where Bama was an underdog, but some of these things that they've been struggling with all year, the snaps, the turnovers, the sacks, this shit just didn't go away. And I was like, you know what? It was kind of like it kind of clicked once you started watching the game. The better team won. I'm gonna tell you,
Oh
Michigan was
yeah.
clearly the better team, and I gotta give them a lot of credit. But I'll give it to you first for your thoughts on the playoff, and then we can circle back to the other bowls afterward.
Well, yeah, just for the Alabama Michigan game, Michigan was clearly the better team, and like it wasn't showing for 3.5 quarters on the scoreboard anyway. Um, they were dominating on the line of scrimmage, like you said. They Milrow could not get any kind of protection in the first half to get any kinds of passing off. They were on him as soon as the ball was snapped, essentially. Bama finally figured out, like, we're going to have to run the ball a little bit here. And they eventually got that going in the second half. They were lucky it wasn't a huge blowout at halftime. It was just because of Michigan's mistakes that it was close. And then Bama finally got their legs under them in the third quarter before finally what a drive by JJ McCarthy in Michigan when they needed it late in the game, down 20-13. I mean, that's just a classic drive. But yeah, they could run on Bama. You know, McCarthy made plays with his legs, which was definitely a factor. You knew he was hurt towards the end of the season, why his stats were so poor and why they were really leaning on the run game. But um, it was just a really impressive performance by the Michigan offensive and defensive lines. That's really won them the game. And then they get the kind of lucky break on the guy who muffs the punt and gets it at his 1 yard line. Oh my goodness! Like I thought for sure that he was going to fumble the ball on that hit, and that Bama was just going to scoop it up right, in
Yeah,
the end zone for a touchdown. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, that was a crazy moment. And then they get it into overtime and they score almost immediately, and they hang on for the goal line stand. And like everyone kind of knew like that was the play that was coming. Like I thought Bama could have been a little more creative on that. Like
yeah,
they just
yeah.
they just ran Milrow right up the middle. Like you could kind of see that's what was going to happen when the formation was spread wide and like he's
Oh
taking it in a
man.
shotgun. Like what's going to happen here? He's probably not going to throw like a slant or a fade route. He's just going to kind of take it and run. This would have been a good time for like the little You see it sometimes the quarterback, whoever gets the ball, and they kind of go like half a yard or something, like faking a run, and then like they pop it over the defensive line to like a tight end or something like that. That would have worked to perfection. But obviously they went with the kind of safe play and it didn't work out. But yeah, that was just a fantastic game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to give Bama credit in one regard, working around all these deficiencies. I mean, it was clear they're trying to hide Miller the whole game. Like, I got to give you a lot of credit for like sniffing that out. Like you had the feel of Nick's coaching magic, Nick Saban's coaching magic, and only working to a point. When you made the pick, like not only just like for, I'm assuming you took it with the spread, the points too, but
Yeah.
um, when you made the pick, both in the Bowl Mania and for the spread, what were your confidence level in Michigan coming through?
Well, Bowl Mania pick was 19, so it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't 100% confident, but it just everyone was talking about, oh yeah, Bama's an underdog. Bama's gonna, they won the SEC. They beat Georgia. They're gonna win this easily. Like, okay, but then why are they an underdog in this game? Like, the spread was 1.5, and then by game time it was almost 3. Like, all the money was coming in on Michigan for a reason. And I just kept going back to that Auburn game where they needed a 4th and 30 miracle play to win. Not only that, just that game. I mean, they had other games throughout the year where they just really struggled. Like, they're not the same. Like, I know they finished with a great record and they had some great wins, but they're just not the same dominant Alabama team of the past. And I just thought Michigan had the right personnel to take advantage of all of that. Um, and I just that's kind of what I stuck with. And I thought it was Michigan's time. And like I said, I wasn't entirely confident. I was more confident about the second game. If you looked at my Bowl Mania, I had like Washington 37. So I was more confident about that pick. But I just felt Michigan could squeak one out, and Alabama was a little bit. They weren't quite as good as the 12-1 record or whatever it
Yeah,
was. They could have taken 2 losses.
it was a great call. Also, a great call in Washington, and I too was really confident in Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah, they looked great. They
yeah, that was a
dominated.
great game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely,
They
absolutely.
really did, and it was
Yeah.
just the way that almost ended. Like, I was like about ready to lose my mind if Texas had scored at the end of the game and won. I mean, the sequence of plays for that to even be a possibility, where it's like, when's the last time you saw that? Like, it's a 1 in a million thing where you're trying to run out the clock and your running back gets injured. So rather than the clock running 30 seconds, you have to use a time, like the clock stops and you have to use a timeout that hurts you on offense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when's the last time you've seen anything like that?
It's
So instead of punting with 15 seconds left, you punt with like 45,
ooh,
tack on the penalty on the fair catch interference. So Texas is already at the 35-yard line. One long pass later, and they're down to like the 20. It's just
yeah.
like, oh my God, here we go.
That would have been just the worst beat of the season on so many
Yes.
levels. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I almost expected it to happen, and then finally Washington they played some great defense there in the red zone,
Yeah.
knocked down the pass at the end. But you cannot say enough about Michael Penix and those receivers. Like, his accuracy on those deep balls, it's just like
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. It's very impressive throws. Like you had people like right on the sideline like making catches. Like
Yep.
it's a great offense. Like I feel now what do you think of this scenario with the running back though? Like he got hurt right at the end. Really
Yeah.
sucks because like
Yeah.
he's a big part of it too.
I mean, I can't speak for it, but I mean, I don't think he's gonna play. I don't know. We'll see. Like, it's like the national championship, so if he can give you anything, he'll give you something.
Yeah.
Maybe not the whole game. Um, but really, their offense goes how Penix and those receivers go.
Yeah.
And DeBoer is a great coach. Like, that's an advantage they have too.
Absolutely.
Um, he's better than Sarkisian. Now, is he better than Harbaugh? I don't know, and that remains to be seen. But yeah, he's just a winner, that guy. And like, they win all the close games for a reason. Like, you always talk about like close game variance and whatnot, like regressing.
Yep.
Well, good coaches win close games versus bad coaches lose close games.
Yep.
And it's just another example of DeBoer and how good of a coach he is with this game and how they've um, put together this offense and how it's just really really impressive to watch.
100%. I mean, it was just one of those moments that kind of felt like you were on it the whole time, and I was on it the whole time. And I'm sure, I don't know if Andy picked him. That'd be interesting. Did you catch it?
No, he did pick Washington.
Okay,
Yep, he
okay,
was on
okay,
Washington.
okay, okay.
Yep.
I mean, even Andy has to pick Washington here. Like, I mean, it's a great spot. They're getting points. Like, just a great offense. So I love that for us. Like, that's really great. Like, that was a great night then. Like, the over two, obviously, right? Like, you had to pick the over.
Oh yeah,
You had to pick the over.
it's interesting because all kinds of money came in on the under, and I was just like, okay, interesting. Like I didn't really see it, but sure, give us a better number. Like,
Yeah.
all right, we'll bet this over. So even if Texas did score there at the end, we would have covered, but it would have felt like a hollow win at that point, like
Yeah.
losing the outright win for Washington, and then plus all the bowl mania scenarios, like that pretty much locked up the fact that there's five of us with still a chance to get into the top three. So it's going to be a very very interesting situation.
Oh yes,
for the last
I'm very
game.
excited about it. I mean, you said, I have an outside chance. It just depends on who the third place. I forgot which of our friends is in third place, but
Yeah,
it's going to depend on who third and fourth place pick for that game. Very fascinating. You would think that they would pick Michigan, but I don't know. We don't know that.
You don't know. Like it's really a toss-up game. It's not one of those scenarios like you remember a couple of years ago was the Joe Burrow LSU team. Like they were clearly like the huge favorite and they were going to win. So you could kind of really play some strategy with that. But here it's like anybody could pick anybody. Like who knows? So it's going to be really interesting to see what everybody comes up with.
John, you've scored with this contest again. Like the setup is brilliant. Like it's just great that every year we have a really good dogfight for the national championship. It really comes down to that final game every time. Like it's fantastic. It's great to see so many people in the mix here, and it's just a phenomenal system.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones because there's a lot of strategy to the selection of like where you want to put the points and like how aggressive you want to be, and then towards the end, like if you're behind, like it's okay, maybe I need to take a few more upsets or move some things around that maybe you really didn't want to do before. Like I had not planned to take Wyoming at 40 points, but I kind of like forced my hand with some of my earlier picks. I was like, all right, I just got to do this here and we'll see what happens. And thankfully they ended up coming through right at the end. Like that was very, very
that was tense. That was tense. Yes. It's like 15-6 or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, and they couldn't do anything for the longest time. Craig Bull punting on 4th and 1 from like the 50 in his last game. Like, dude, like what do you got to lose? I mean, it's literally the last game of your career and you're punting on 4th and 1. But it's a great pool. Like some of the people I noticed, they don't do anything in terms of the strategy. They pick every single game in order from 1 to 43. Like, and those people usually never win because you have to have an element of moving your picks around accordingly to like the odds and versus what everybody else is doing. So
what you're saying is they just make their picks on like December 15th and they don't touch them. Yep, oh, that's tricky. That's tricky. Yeah. You're right, John. Like sometimes you see what you're doing, what I'm doing, and I'm trying to like as you go through that, you're trying to ride like where the wave is if you're doing well, and if you're not, then you try to play the black hat with relish. You try to wear the black hat with relish.
Exactly. Or if it's kind of coming down to the end, and I usually save a few low point values for kind of upset picks because then if everyone's on one side towards the end, like they're going to have larger point values on the game. So if you win, like you're really going to gain on people because they're going to lose a lot of their projected points. I did that with the Auburn Maryland game. I had Maryland, and a lot of people had Auburn with a high confidence value, and that definitely helped me a lot. Are you raising your hand?
Yeah, dumb. I would rather have just forfeited the game at that point. Stupid Auburn.
That was rough. Hugh Freeze is just like something. He's a good coach, but there's some games where the team doesn't show up. It's just bizarre.
It's unbelievable. Like these guys are playing all their backups. It's like
right, yeah. Maryland Talia Tagovailoa wasn't in. Although I will say this Billy Edwards guy looked pretty good, so he's probably their quarterback. I'm guessing he's their quarterback next year. Like he looked decent.
Yeah. But I'm pretty happy. I'm very happy with how it went. Like I told you about the system I was going to utilize. I didn't mention what it was yet at that point. I'll tell you what it was now. Like I literally just picked every game progressively more and more points. It started with 1 point, and the next game was 2 points, and 3 points, and 4. It was a very unusual system. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Like, because it eliminated one of the variables for me of the how many points do I assign to this game variable. So then it just amounted to, do I ride the wave? Do I fade the wave? Do I just roll with it? And generally, I was siding with the favorites a lot of the time. I made two critical mistakes. One, and I told you about this in text, but and we said this when we were previewing the game, we had no idea who was going to win the Rice Texas State game.
Oh yeah.
God, that was dumb. Why would I take Rice? Just stupid. I overthought that one for sure.
Yeah, I ended up going with Texas State there for one reason and one reason only. I watched the UConn Huskies beat Rice this year, and that was good enough reason for me to go with Texas State.
That's great. You got to use all the intel you have, though. These are all important. Absolutely. It's really great. But the one that I probably am the most disappointed in was taking Mount Miami, just because of the simple idea that I had to root for Cristobal. I hate that guy. I'll never do that. I mean, I would say that I'd never do that again. We're gonna find out next year, but if he's even there, I don't even think he's gonna be in Miami next year.
He'll be there. He'll be there next year. You're
okay,
right. Like, you cannot trust him at all, and especially the locale of the game. Like, you think those kids from Miami wanted to go play like in the cold, in New York City in the elements. That's what got me on the SMU pick, and I should have never gone that high on SMU and Boston College. I mean, that was just such a brutal day, weather-wise, pouring rain and cold. Like, and they did have a lead, and they could have. So I'm not gonna say they completely didn't show up, but once it kind of snowballed like against them, they just they couldn't handle it.
So oh, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, they had a touchdown pass that was like dropped that would put them up 10 points, and then from that second on, they just didn't do anything the rest of the game. I had that at like 39 points, I believe.
Yeah, I had it for a ton of points too. But the one thing I was thinking about with that game is that, one, how can you trust the ACC this year? Part one,
right?
But part two, Boston College looked god awful in some of those games. Like, I remember.
Oh yeah. The spread was legitimate. Like, SMU really should have just dominated them, but I think it was just a combination of things where it just Boston College got on a roll, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
And then the other high pick I got wrong was Iowa State and Memphis.
That was wild.
Another coach, Matt Campbell, like, he is terrible. Like, he does not. He's for all that. Look at the talent that's in the NFL right now, like Brock Purdy and Breece Hall and
true.
the Kohler, the tight end. Like, they had so many guys in the NFL, and they couldn't win more than like 8 games with it. Like, he sucks as a coach. And I should have seen it. I should have seen it coming. They were playing in Liberty's home stadium, and I just figured, in Memphis's home stadium at the Liberty Bowl.
Right.
And I just figured, oh, well, the spread is like 10 here. Like, somebody knows something. Like, this should not be a 10-point spread. It should be like a 3-point spread or a 4-point spread. And it just tricked me into thinking that Memphis was Iowa State was going to beat them bad, and they sucked right from the start. So those are the two games that high ones that I regret and that I lost on. Everything else I did well on for the high picks. I certainly had some losers, down the board.
Oh yeah,
like Iowa. Oh my God.
That's wild too. I can kind of see where you're coming from. They weren't starting their starter. Tennessee was starting their starting quarterback, right? Right. I figured they weren't going to score that much, and to be honest, I
figured it was going to be the typical Iowa 13-10 game.
Yeah,
but it did not work out.
And I was once the Bulls too with that system, so it's completely understandable. It's a good time to do it, but just clearly did not work out. And can we talk about how Tennessee was trying to get that last touchdown at the end of the game? I was furious. I mean,
what are they doing? Like, Coach Heupel had $20,000 on the over or something? Like, what are you doing?
There's got to be the only reason he would do something like that. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah. Thankfully, Iowa's defense held at the end.
Yeah. That's a great defense. It's this moments like this where you realize how good their defense really is. I mean, 35 minutes, sure. But honestly, they would have lost like 59-13 if they had a regular defense. Their defense is really good this year. Like,
it's just a shame that they were down to that guy at quarterback. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if Cade McNamara didn't get hurt, but I guess we'll never know. But thank God we've seen the last of Brian Ferentz in his offense. And just like at some point, like your defense is just going to wear down if you're on the field the entire
Yeah,
time. So it's completely reasonable.
yeah.
I think Tennessee had a couple like I know they had a pick six. And I think they had another touchdown set up by like a fumble. So their defense probably really only gave up like three touchdowns, like 21. Usually that's pretty good in a college football game, but Iowa is just there's no chance. Shut out in back-to-back games to end your season. Like that is just miserable.
Yeah, you're right. Like I was like, the team total for Iowa was a whopping 13 and a half. I did think about it. I was like,
I should have gone under on
that
that.
would have
I
been
even I
good,
even
right?
said it like they're gonna if they're gonna win, it was gonna be like 13-10. I should have gone under on that. But
Yeah. And what
that
might
was a
have
brutal
been,
one.
yeah, but I got the under in the game, so that still worked out fine.
Yeah.
But so the home field factor, wound up being a theme this year. And the reason why I didn't ride it more is because stupid New Mexico State getting their ass kicked.
Oh,
Just
that was rough.
it really was. Again, it threw me off for the rest of the bowl season. I'm like, well, maybe I could pick the home team, but they might lose. Blah blah blah. And the rest of the bowl season,
Yeah,
the
there
home
was
team.
something going on there because Jerry Kill resigned like shortly after that game.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he's had a lot of health issues, so maybe those started flaring up again. But yeah, he resigned. So now they have I believe Tony Sanchez, who used to coach UNLV, and UNLV was a disaster when he was there. So I'm not expecting anything out of New Mexico State going forward. But yeah, there was clearly something going on with Coach Kill, and
Yeah.
it affected the game. But yeah, that was a high one that I missed as well. I think I had that like points.
Yeah. But some of the hometown teams that were home teams that basically won their games, Air Force, good example, Air Armed Forces Bowl,
Yes.
more or less. And then you had essentially USC because the Holiday Bowl has kind of been their secondary home after the Coliseum. It's been and the Rose Bowl, but boy, what a remarkable. Did we talk about that? No, we didn't. This is our first
I don't
podcast.
think we did. I ended up taking USC. Like
Wow.
I
Good
did.
call.
It was low again. It was low confidence because I
Yeah.
figured everyone was going to be on Louisville. So I only did like 10 points on it. So it was whatever if I lost. But
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. Like Miller, the quarterback, like what a performance.
6 touchdowns for Miller Moss. Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, is he going to be the starter next year? Like he's got to throw his hat in the ring
Hell of
now.
a question. I mean, it depends on where. If I'm assuming Caleb's going to the transfer portal at this point, or somewhere
Oh, he's
draft or
going to the
whatever.
draft.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
think.
I would
Yeah.
think. So there was a story about a guy that USC had transferring to another school. Maybe this is the guy. Maybe it is going to be Miller Moss. And then people are getting ripping USC. Why didn't you get after? I forgot who it was. Like there was another quarterback. Like why didn't you get after that guy? I'm like, apparently they already figured this out.
Yeah, I mean everyone's in the portal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All the quarterback movement. But yeah, no, he looked really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if they don't get like who they were targeting, I think they got something. I don't know. I don't know if they had like a 5-star freshman or something coming in, but
Yeah.
he looked fantastic.
Yeah, so to just run down this theme, just continue the theme. Boston College, Rutgers, all win their home games. Let me keep going. I think there's more. I mentioned Memphis.
Memphis. Yep, Memphis.
Let's see. Anybody else? These are pretty good choice. Yeah, those are pretty big ones though. Yeah, just all in all, really, really good showing by the people who had that. Oh, UCLA, like the first day of the bowl season.
Yeah, that's right. You were there.
I was in the building.
How could we forget?
Yeah. Okay, so Texas A&M didn't win theirs. Okay, that's another one that didn't come through. But honestly, I kind of liked Oklahoma State anyway. I thought that just
Yeah, I had Oklahoma State too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just too many defections and opt outs and whatever for A&M, and Gundy is usually good in bowls, so that was a good pick.
Yeah. Sorry that your boy Mac Brown didn't get the Mayo this year, but West Virginia was too good.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I won the pick with West Virginia, but yeah, no Mayo.
Nah. I gotta give it to Virginia Tech too. Like I had vibes with that. Like they had a nice finish to the year. Good for them.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of identified the teams that like you knew wanted to be there and were motivated to win a bowl game. Virginia Tech was definitely one of them, and they showed it.
Quite an exciting time. Another one I really loved, Missouri, and it was tense too because there was like no score for a while. It was like it was 3-0 for a very long time. But
yep, and they finally broke through in the end, thankfully. But yeah, no, Missouri is going to be a hot team as a pick next year to make the college football playoff. Now, especially since it's up to 12 teams.
Yeah.
Um, they have a lot of players returning, and I guess they've done very, very well in terms of like the transfer portal. So Missouri is going to be a trending pick to make it into 12 teams next year.
Yeah. Um, let's go back to the rest of the New Year's Six. I mean, we could talk about Notre Dame just crushing Oregon State. I give them a lot of credit, to be fair, because like you can let up a game like that.
Yeah, that was their depth really just showing out
Yeah.
versus because both sides had a lot of players not playing. Well, Oregon State's backups were not very good. While Notre Dame still had some pretty good players, and that was the difference.
100 without and we all were familiar with how good Notre Dame had played defensively all year long too.
Right,
So it just figured like Oregon State was going to barely score anything, and
right.
they must feel fortunate to even get to 8. Like I don't even they did
Yeah,
not.
that busted the under. Like I don't know how that game went over, but that
Good
that was
question.
that was a bad beat. That
Oh
that one
yeah,
ended up.
that's true. It was like maybe 7 minutes left. It was like way under the total.
Yeah, there was like they needed like 17 points in the last I don't know how many minutes, and they ended up getting it with that.
Yeah,
Notre Dame like had a drive that went quick, and then Oregon State got that garbage touchdown. But
yeah.
that's how it goes.
Um, Florida. I mean Georgia just
And
annihilated.
what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Florida State's whole team wasn't there, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people like going, well, they shouldn't have been that. So that's what the team you wanted in the playoffs. Like that team was not in the game. Nobody from that actual regular roster was playing in the game. It was just
Right.
like that was
Yeah.
they packed it in. Like nobody.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just
It was almost like a protest that they just because they
right.
just didn't. It's like because the committee said, okay, well, your entire season was essentially meaningless. So like, who cares about this game? Like, why would you play in that game? Like, yeah, I can't blame them. But ended up making it so it was like probably the easiest bet ever. Like that Georgia was just going to destroy them,
Yeah,
but didn't make it any less fun to watch. It's just a waste of everyone's time. Honestly, it's
honestly,
like why are we even playing that?
it was a pointless game. Orange Bowl's been known for a lot of these shitty games. Like
Yeah.
it's just funny how that
Yep.
happens.
Yep.
Um,
Anytime you get the ACC in there, it's a potential for a lot of bullshit.
Oh, so much so, so much so. I didn't have the confidence to take to lay the points, but I'd love the over for that same exact reason.
Yes.
And
Yep.
never, and they had it at halftime. They had the over at halftime. Like it was never a game. Um,
Love that no sweat bet when it's like you're just at the over at halftime. Like what can be better than that?
yeah, it's great. It was great. Good times. So and like again, another case of me just not playing using my brain rather than my heart, and it costs me actually this time because Ole Miss looked great. What I did not compute looking at that game was basically the home field advantage they were going to have. I didn't
Yes.
really think about that. I should have. Like, it's almost all Ole Miss fans in the building. Like, it was a really, really
Mm-hmm.
great. And my boy Jackson Dart, like former USC quarterback, it's great to
Yep.
see. So, way
Yeah,
over.
that was a tough one. I ended up
Yeah,
going with Penn State, and I regret taking that one. That was another pick that I don't know. I felt like Ole Miss wasn't as great as they could have been, or as great as their record indicated.
yeah,
But at the same time, Penn State really wasn't either because the Big Ten is pretty shitty outside of Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. So um, I don't know. I just figured Penn State would kind of like Michigan did, just on the line of scrimmage, be more effective, and their defense slow down the Ole Miss offense enough. And I was wrong. I mean, Ole Miss just really, really played well, and Penn State continued to struggle on
yeah.
offense, especially Drew Aller. I don't know what they're doing if he's going to be the starter next year. Like, I don't think they can win a championship. So,
No, they continue to have problems with that. Like Clifford wasn't much better when they had him, and
well, it's the same. It's the typical Penn State thing. Like they
yeah.
beat up on the weak teams, and then when they play a real team, like they just can't get it done. So I have to make that mental note again and like force ourselves to not take Penn State.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, but I will say Penn State had a really good bowl record going into that game. They were doing pretty well in
Yeah,
bowls. Like it's
yeah.
I just way underestimated Ole Miss's defense, or I overestimated Penn State's offense. Well, it's one of those because and I also probably overestimated. And I really overestimated the Penn State defense. It wasn't that good because
Yes.
yeah,
That's
no
true.
pro.
Like when you're playing like Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin, like your defense is going to look pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so but I'm happy for Ole Miss. I'll remember not to make that mistake again. Like, gosh. athletic team versus Penn State. Let's go with the athletic team next time. Like we'll do that.
Exactly.
All right. So the Oregon Liberty. Let's not even talk about that game. That was
Yeah,
useless.
whatever.
Got nothing out of that
It was
one.
like the Florida State Georgia game. Like you knew what was going to happen. So all right,
Yeah.
next. Like Liberty went up 6-0. Good for you. Like now it's time to really play football.
Yeah, absolutely. But I tell you
Before
what.
we get to like the last game, now the big question is, what did you think of the Pop-Tart Bowl and the whole scenario at the end of the game? I thought it was hilarious. Like, please give me more food sponsoring bowls. Like, that was just fantastic.
That was the Pop Tart Bowl is one of my personal favorite bowls from a presentation standpoint. That
Yes,
Pop Tart,
the huge toaster with the guy coming out of it, and like, oh, I loved it.
The Pop Tart was the star of the show. Forget the teams.
Like, I know, like he was dancing with the ref, and like he was doing something with the security guard.
Yeah.
Like it was hilarious. Like make the Pop Tarts Bowl a New Year's Six bowl, please. Like we got the Pop Tart Bowl.
I would gladly dump the Fiesta Bowl or the Orange Bowl for the Pop Tart Bowl. Like I'm all absolutely about it. So much better. Like
I thought it was great. And then like they played it like the mascot was edible, but of course like you're not gonna eat a real guy. So but it was pretty impressive how they choreographed it. So he goes down into the toaster and then the actual big Pop Tart that you can eat like pops out of the side and then the whole team was just eating the Pop Tart. Oh, you didn't see the video?
I don't think I saw that. No, I was there was a lot going on that day, but oh man,
no. By all means, check out the video. It's hilarious. He goes down into the toaster, like waving by, and then an actual baked, like massive Pop Tart pops out of the side, and then the whole Kansas State team goes over and is just like,
Let me see if I can look this up. Like this is
yeah, absolutely. It's like imagine trying to explain that to like someone like a foreigner, like that doesn't understand football or anything, and like you're trying to explain to them college football. It's like, all right, watch this video of this Pop Tart going into a toaster. Like it's just hilarious.
Okay, we gotta take a look at this. Let me just wait out this ad first. But
during your pregnancy,
this is great, John. Thank you for mentioning this. Oh shoot! Oh no, I'm on the wrong browser. Okay, hold on. I put it on the wrong browser. Over here. Let me go put this over here. Sorry about that. Let's go back over here for a second while I sort this out. But that's as good as it gets. Whoever designed the
great marketing. The whoever planned it. Fantastic. That's why I said we need more foods to sponsor bowl games. Like, who cares about like some home insurance? Like, that's not going to get anybody. Here we go.
Here we go. This looks great. I love this song too. This is great.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, there he goes, right into the toaster.
Whoever that guy is, or the person is under that Pop Tart, gonna have a career.
He deserves a raise, whoever it was. All right, so here's the team waiting for it.
Okay.
And here it comes.
Nice.
Yep, big Pop Tart. There we go. Now they're gonna go eat it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
That is so cool. Oh man, thank you for mentioning that. I'm kind of mad I missed that. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, they need more food sponsoring bowl games. That's my
I agree.
My decree.
The Cheez-It Bowl, which was a very, very good. Is that the one with LSU? I think it was. It was a very good game. I'm trying to remember now. Can't remember, but
I don't know. No, I think that was the Cheez-It Bowl was Iowa, Tennessee, unfortunately.
Okay, shitty game.
Iowa, Tennessee. Yeah.
But
shitty game, but Cheez-Its, sure.
I love the coach getting dumped with the Cheez-Its.
Yes.
It's so stupid. I loved it so much.
Of all things to be dumped with, like, would you rather be dumped with the Cheez-Its, have the edible Pop-Tart, dumped with the mayo?
Yeah.
The potato bowl they dump them with French fries, and then I saw the Scooter's coffee. They dumped them with Scooter's coffee in that game too.
Oh man.
Yeah. Out of all those, I'll take the Cheez-Its to get dumped on.
Yeah.
Those are my choices.
If you're a coach, you got to go Cheez-It. No question.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah.
But yeah, just you put it all together. It was a great bowl season. Like I never saying that it was a great bowl season last year, but this is even better. Like a lot of good games, like really fun ones.
Oh yeah, it was great to watch. Like I think I watched basically all of them in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Had wagers on all of them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just hope that they can do something to kind of make some of these more meaningful in terms of like all the players playing. Like imagine how good some of these games would have been if each team was full strength.
Yeah,
We still had
yeah.
a great bowl season even without that. So we'll see where it goes next year with with the playoffs because I don't know if they're going to be getting rid of some bowl games. Obviously because more teams are going to be qualifying for the 12-team playoff. So
Yep.
I guess we'll see by the springtime what the bowl schedule looks like. But I hope it doesn't go away because we get fun moments like this and just a lot of college football to watch
Yeah.
during the holidays, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's really what it boils down to is like in the end of the day, only maybe half a dozen teams can ever actually win a national championship.
Right.
From, like on a regular basis. So like why are we putting so much work into making a playoff when you know that only 6 teams can make it there anyway, like to the title game? Like I think that's why the Bulls were great for a long time because it gave everybody something to play for. I think we're losing sight of that as a sport. Not we, but they are losing sight of that as a sport. I feel like they need to get back to that on some level, and hopefully they will. Because like you said, it's like there's a lot of pageantry that's involved. That's a lot of fun. Like we can enjoy the little things.
Yeah, like only 6 teams can make the championship, but everybody can want to eat the edible Pop-Tart. Like,
Yes.
come on, like this is great.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Big time props to the Pop-Tart Bowl. Like in terms of presentation, what would you say was the worst of those bowls? Like they all had like really fun things, like the Gronk Bowl. Like I called it the Gronk Bowl, but it's the LA Bowl.
Yeah, some of them that, like I said, that are just like they're sponsored by like insurance companies or logistics solutions. Like I think I heard one of those. Like, what are you doing? Like, no one even knows what your company does. Like, just because you might Google it for a half second doesn't mean anything. Like, you need to have like some kind of people talking about it on social media and like brand activation, which is you couldn't go buy a post on like my Twitter feed without someone showing that Pop-Tart video or making like a meme on it. Like, that's what you want. That's what you want when like you're sponsoring a bowl game.
It's funny because like once I saw the Pop-Tart doing his thing, I was like, this is going to be a gift for years to come. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. He was having the time of his life. Like, get that guy a raise.
100%, 100%. This has been a really lot of fun. Oh yeah, let's do one more game. So we're gonna look ahead to the championship. I think we're both already both made our prediction already, but Washington, Michigan. What a matchup! Like this is really great. Oh,
this is tough. Like I don't know. Honestly, Dave, like and not just because like we're in the same contest and I don't want to give away my pick. This is a tough game. Like both teams are very well coached. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we talked about Washington and their dynamic offense. The question will be, can that work against the Michigan defense? And if it can, they very much have a chance to win. I think Michigan's going to win the line of scrimmage again. I think they're going to be able to run on Washington. But if Penix is able to be successful and make those downfield throws, I think they're very much alive in this game. I will say with the spread, it's very tempting to take Washington plus, I think it's 4.5 now, just because you feel like it'll be another close game. In terms of who's going to win, I don't know. But I would probably lean Washington with the spread. That would be my choice at the moment.
Solid call. I don't think there is a wrong. There's no bad call here. Like you can definitely see a case.
You can make a case for either team.
Yeah. It's one of the best matchups we've had from that standpoint in a very long time. And I think it'll be a good game. You're right. It should be a 1-score game. Could be wrong. I mean, it is college football after all. But, I mean, I'm pretty much. I don't think I'm giving away too much because we all know where I am in the standings in the Bowl Mania. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take Washington, but I feel good about it. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll see. Like, is everyone else going to take Washington? I don't know. That's the fun of it. Like, I don't. It's like all right. Well, he knows that I'm doing this, but then if I do this, and if he doesn't know that, like, it's just like you can get yourself all into some permutations of like mind bending. What you're going to do. It's crazy.
There's no doubt about it. And there's 2 things in play. It's not just like what you think. You have to evaluate not just what people in general would pick like straight up, but what our specific group would pick straight up. I think that if I was in a different group, more people would have picked Miami for that game against Rutgers. But in our group, we're much closer to Rutgers. We know more about them just
Right.
for a lot of different reasons. Like, but
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised when I saw the picks for the Texas Washington game.
mhm.
I honestly was surprised that the top like 5 people took Washington.
Yeah,
I was
totally.
expecting a couple Texas picks.
Totally. I felt the same. Like I'm like, wow. I guess
Yeah,
we were all the
same.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says a lot about our group though. Like our group
Hmm.
is really been on the ball, like following the
Yeah,
sport.
very knowledgeable the top players in this group this year.
Yeah. We're getting down to the end of it with or maybe it's already over. Like, how'd everything go in your NFL pool?
It's down to 4 people,
Okay.
so they're still going.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot. No one that we know personally, unfortunately,
Okay.
is still in. I mean, people that I know personally are still in, but no one that like you would know personally is still in the mix.
Okay.
So that's how it goes. That's the way the matchups break, and yeah, they're still battling it out for this week, and then I do the wild card weekends, the final week. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that's gonna be fun, John. This has been so much fun to do tonight. Thank you again for joining in. Happy New Year. Here's to the best for the Packers and the rest of your scenarios.
Absolutely, yeah. Good luck to you, Dave, with the final pick next week, and
Thanks.
maybe we'll see. We could do a brief recap of that, and we'll have the NFL wildcard matchups to go through if we wanted to do another hour next week.
I'm
So
good
we'll
for
have
it.
to,
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah,
Let's do it.
sounds like a plan.
All right, John. Yeah, until then, in that case, have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games. There's going to be a lot of good games this weekend.
Yeah, you too, Dave. See ya.
Yeah, bye. John in Connecticut, folks. That was a fun one tonight. Good times. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Well, we're not live tonight, so obviously, if you missed any part of it, you can just rewind this VOD. I'm sorry that the live feed couldn't go. I'm mystified. I don't know what it is. We'll have to investigate that later. But if you are listening to this podcast, you can also catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Davey's Eating a Sandwich, where I stream regularly, typically interviews, non-sports interviews, and I also do gaming there and music as well. So it's been a blast. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening or day, and we'll see you next time.